okay, you're driving now $200 a month higher, but it's going to generate $1,000 a month. Do it because you're winning on that. But if somebody just wanted something for the wrong motive, that was really my heart. And I believe that's why I was a top salesman.
Hey, welcome to 10X Your Team with Cam and Otis. We're a father-son leadership podcast where we talk with other lifelong learners about making an impact and solving big problems. And folks, if you notice us talking fast today, we started talking about food in the green room. And that is probably the worst subject. I would rather talk about politics in the green room before we go on there. When we talk about food, now we're drooling. We're drooling because we were talking about how good the food is in San Antonio, where our good friend and guest today, Daniel Gomez, lives. Because man, San Antonio, it's been a long time. It's been too long, about 4 years since I've been there. God, the food is good down there. I mean, Daniel, we were talking about that. I mean, look, folks, if you're listening to us in your truck, driving I-35 down to San Antonio to go get some of that food, when you get there and you're eating, watch us on YouTube. You'll see Daniel smacking his lips just like I am. All right, Daniel, you getting hungry there, buddy?
Hey, you're making me hungry, Otis. Thank you, Otis and Cam, for having me on your show. I'm excited just to add some value to your audience. And man, I got this chocolate bar my wife gave me for Valentine's Day. I might just break it open during the show.
Man.
I need some because your son's over there saying, "Yeah, I had homemade mole." You know how hard it is to get some homemade mole? That's good.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Dad, you know my relationship with leftovers. I'm looking forward to leftovers for lunch today. I think that says a lot.
Oh yeah, that does. Yeah, because that was when Camden was a kid, he wouldn't eat nothing that was left over.
Hey, talk to my wife about that. It ain't changed much.
Yeah. Well, to get out of the food category, I want to jump into my favorite thing to talk to. Well, it's not really my favorite thing. It's going to be the favorite thing right now to talk to Daniel about, and that is sales. Because, folks, he is damn good at it, and I'm really curious. What's the origin? You know, we've had a couple of guests on, and I kind of joke about, were you that dude? I think it was Mike Weiskamp. Were you that dude that, in elementary school had candy bars in your locker, and you were turning cash with your fellow classmates with candy bars, or what, man?
No, man. So our new book just released, Sales Accelerator. And it's really right. If you think of sales, people have the wrong perception of sales. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, which you are, you must be in business or some form of business you want to start, an entrepreneur. And let me tell you, Otis, no business is going to survive without revenue. And where does revenue come from? Sales.
Yes.
So people say, well, sales is a dirty word, and they have these limited beliefs. And then they have the thing is they have the wrong association with sales. And God really showed me this even at a deeper level. My boy, right, my son, I call him my little king, Julian. He's 25 years old. And he calls me senior year of school, Dad, I don't want to be a teacher. I'm like, cool. He goes, what do you think? I'm like, I'm not going to make the decision for you. And I was like, he goes, well, what are your thoughts? I'm like, Julian, you're a grown man. He was 21 years old, 20. I'm not going to make the decision. He goes, well, you're the one paying for my school. I said, son, I love you. I go, but you're not going to do that decision. Put it on me. So then next thing you know, it's like, I said, look, pray about it. I go, I don't care what you do anyways, by the way. I said, half the people that graduate with a degree in X never use it in X. They go to Y, right? I just walk the stage. So during this time, as he's a senior, he's working part-time at this car wash in San Antonio called the Wash Tub. And he's one of the top sales professionals there, right? They call him customer service, but he has kind of sales. And then he came back and he goes, Dad, I made my decision. I said, cool, what are you going to do? He goes, well, I'm not going to be a teacher. I'm like, okay, so are you going to graduate? He goes, Dad, yes, I'm going to graduate. I still got to go 6 more months, but I'm going to graduate. And I'm like, I don't care what you do. Like, just walk the stage, son. Like, that's my papa moment, right? So then now I said, so what did you decide? I go, are you sure? He goes, yeah. He goes, I'm deciding to do this. So I asked him, where did this come from, right? Like, where did this come from? He goes, well, Dad, I see the life that you and Mom have. And being a teacher making $50,000 to $60,000 topping out is not going to give me the lifestyle that I want. Nothing wrong with the lifestyle of teachers. If you choose that, that's your jam. I'm not saying that, but I looked at him and I just like, my eyes got watery, right? Because I've done a lot of things wrong, but I've done a lot of things right. And I said, okay. I said, I respect that. And this is what I told him, Cam. I said, can I tell you something now that we're here on this side of the conversation? He goes, what, Dad? I didn't want you to be a teacher anyways. I thought your life had more potential than what you just being in that position for 20 years. And I share this with you because as graduation day came, he says, Dad, I'm going to go into car sales. You know, the protection of a father, you know what I told him? I was like, what? Like, no. I actually told him no. But you know what? I was a car dog for 20 years. I ran a Chevrolet dealership. I still wear my ring for 20 years. Like, that's my jam. And it totally, like, surprised me. But this is what God showed me in prayer. He goes, Daniel, you never came home. You never said sales suck. Oh, screw sales. I never cussed about sales. This is what I would do, Otis and Cam. I would say, thank you, God, for sales because we're going to the Bellagio. Thank you, God, for a great month in sales because we get to buy our new pool. Thank you, God, for sales because we get to go to Disneyland. Like, God just blessed my sales career. So the association that Julian had as a kid was a positive one. The association he had with sales, the word, man, sales can make me do whatever, right? Sales can give me the life that I want. And I remember him being in first grade. You know what he was for career day? He was a sales manager. I made him a name tag. I was running the Chevrolet dealership. I made him a little name tag named Julian. I put sales manager on it, and it's like he fulfilled his prophecy. And I think so many people just have the wrong association with sales, Otis, that they're defeated even before they start.
Well, I got to call you out just a bit there because as somebody, you're talking about sales ain't a dirty word. And Dad, I'm going to throw it to you. When we think of the dirty word for sales and who's the dirtiest, it's not car sales when we think of used car salesmen, but we go to the cars there. So I would love to hear how you kind of distinguish those two because clearly there is a difference in the approach there.
Well, you know, for me, right? For me, every car I sold, I think when I was coming up in sales in 2001, 2002, 2003, this was my thing. Is every time I sold a car, I would pray with people. I'd be like, Cam, can I bless your vehicle? And people looked at me like I was weird. But you know, out of the 800 cars I sold, Cam, a handful told me no. Right? A handful told me no. So I really think it's just people hear your heart in sales, right? People hear your heart. And of course, there was some days that I wanted to sell a car because I had a quota, or there was a trip I wanted to win. Like, I think anybody who is a drive A personality, that driver, you want to be the best. There's going to be some competition in you. So did I sell every car from a heart-centered spot? No, I would be lying to you. But my were intentions really to help the people. And I think for me, when I was selling used cars and new cars, I would always start with, okay, what's your problem, right? What's your reason for wanting this car? And where I grew up at, right? The heart of Southside San Antonio, Mexican food, tacos everywhere, Otis. I would actually tell people this. Why do you want to buy this truck? Well, you know what? My brother-in-law came and bought a truck, and I've been wanting a truck. And I said, okay, whoa. You're buying this truck because your brother-in-law bought a truck? And he's like, well, see, yeah, that's why. God ain't going to bless it. You're going to lose this truck within a year. You can't afford it. I'm sorry. I would literally tell people that, right? Because it was on my conscience. It was on my watch. But if somebody came in like a notice and said, "Hey, I'm getting this leadership development going. I need a ranch truck for my ranch, and I'm going to carry the guys in there." So okay, so you're going to use it for business, and it's going to help you make money. Okay, well maybe the payment's higher than what you expected, but okay, you're driving now $200 a month higher, but it's going to generate $1,000 a month. Do it because you're winning on that. But if somebody just wanted something for the wrong motive, that was really my heart, and I believe that's why I was a top salesman 2 years in a row, and then before you knew it, within time, I was running the whole Chevrolet dealership.
That's
There's
go ahead, Kim.
something there I want to dive in on because it's something real. I think it's something you don't really see in the sales area, but it's a conversation I had this past week when we were talking about actually college and degrees and all that kind of stuff. And we were talking about how important it is to like poke holes and play devil's advocate with those kind of things. Of like, oh, you want to study business, okay, and I'm going to sell you on the idea of not studying business to make sure this is a thing you want to do. And I shared the story I got from an old Freakonomics episode. I think it was Zappos was the company that they once you got through their training, they would offer you a check for 3 months of work and say, I'll pay you to quit right now, because they wanted to make sure people really, really wanted to be a part of that team. Daniel, could you talk some about the idea of that, like kind of like almost like negative sale, if that makes sense? Because I think that's kind of what you're talking about there a little bit.
Yeah, but I think people sometimes it goes back to that old saying, right? Keeping up with the Joneses. And if you're trying to keep up with the Joneses and you're buying a car because your family member bought a car or just to show off, well, then God won't bless it. And the thing is, when I entered into car sales, I had just that's when I really got saved. Say, right? I was 26 years old. My dad had just passed away, and that's how I came to really get close to God, because they gave my dad a month to live, and by God's grace, my dad lived a year. And that year, we sold piñatas for a year. Like, selling cars is easy. Go try to sell piñatas to a supermarket, and amidst them being piñatas, we succeeded. When my dad passed away, I didn't want to do piñatas. It's kind of like you get to the end of the finish line and you look around like Forrest Gump, right? Forrest Gump he's running and running, and he's like, what else is there? So we sold all our inventory, and then next thing you know, when I entered car sales, it was just like, it was just a different way of helping people. And I think that really helped me, Cameron, to really see that, man, like, because the truth is this, I'm going to be totally honest. There was a car that I sold and I felt guilty. And my manager pulled me aside. I said, well, give him a discount. He's like, we already did. He goes, I go, give him another discount. And he's like, Daniel, like, it's okay to get paid what you're worth. And that's when I really, really started understanding what self-worth was about at 26 years old, because no one had really explained it to me. And I think so many people in sales, they go broke in business because they want to give everything away, when in reality you can't, right? You can serve your way to closing your doors in business. I'm saying it again, you can serve your way to closing your doors in business, and you got to understand that it's okay to be paid what you're worth. So when in this, right, when you're doing good in sales and people come and they're just buying for the wrong motive, you're able to walk away from that opportunity because you don't need their money, right? One thing that the owner, he was a real strong man of God, and Mr. Vada, he would always say, look, I don't need your business. I want your business, but I need your business. I don't need your business, but I want your business. And I instilled and I adopted that mindset where, like, you know what, Otis, I want your business, but I don't need your business. And when I say that today, I say it with conviction, because I don't need nobody's money. I want to help you, but if you think I'm trying to sell you this because I need your money, like, I believe in what I do, and I truly believe that there's a lot of business owners out there that really, they're selling the products and services for the wrong reason, Otis, and they wonder why their business isn't growing, because they don't really believe in what they're doing.
I want to jump into this because I think you uniquely qualify to share this, your thoughts on this, because you are the guy who was the great salesman who succeeded in creating a business and leading a business. Whereas, that's the infamous leadership metaphor, right? Is the sales guy who has the best numbers, that now as the business owner, I say, okay, you're in charge of the salespeople, and he failed. You, Otis's opinion, you do pretty well leading, not just selling, leading. So how did you make that adjustment from, and we'll just call it from the individual, I win best salesman of the month, to the, all right, guys, let's go and crush this as a team?
I think the truth is you have to be coachable and teachable. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes when so what had happened was I had been seeing sales manager after sales manager coming through the dealership. I think we went through like 3 of them. And I finally told Mr. Vada, like, dude, like, freaking put me at the desk. Like, he goes, and people were like, he's not going to take you off the floor because you're selling the most cars, right? They're like, and then one day, like, I don't know, like God just rose in me. I said, give me a shot at the desk. I can do it. And he looked at me, he goes, why do you want to do it? Like, you're doing great in sales. And I don't know what it was, but it was kind of like that Teen Wolf moment, right? When Teen Wolf said, leave me alone, and his eyes turned red. And it's like the Holy Spirit arose in me, and I said, because I can do it, Mr. Vada. And against his will, I really believe it was God. He goes, fine, done. We'll talk about it. It'll happen. And then he sent me to school. But I think initially I failed as a leader, right? I think as a leader, you need to, I say I failed because you made it to the desk. You got this prominent desk now to say, right? And then the position. And I think everybody, sometimes there's a learning curve. And for the first, maybe I think I would say the first month and a half, you get comfortable, right? Like I arrived, right? Like, hey, I'm a manager, and you're kind of like learning your position. So there's a learning curve. And I think this is the thing, is I think most sales leaders, they don't give themselves the grace in that learning curve, because there is a learning curve with everything from one position to the next, right? In that transition moment, I gave myself grace, and then I was open to what people were telling me around. And I think the biggest problem that a lot of sales leaders that don't make it, they go from account executive to sales professional to sales manager. They think they know it all, and they're not open-minded to what people try to tell them. So in their closed-mindedness, they beat themselves up because they have the I know it attitude. I know it. I know Cam. I know Cam. Thank you. I know. And they don't know. Maybe they know it when they were running themselves, but running a team's a whole different thing. And I think for me, that's where my speaking came out, because even though I was a leader, right? Even though I was a leader, and then I got promoted to running the dealership, I was a general sales manager. Like every Monday meeting, I wanted to lead that meeting, not because I was like, I'm the leader. No, it's because God had shown me a glimpse, even though I didn't understand it to the magnitude of what I am now. One of my good friends at the moment said, let Daniel speak. Let Daniel speak. Daniel always inspires us. And when he said that, it built a confidence in me, like, man, thanks, right? So when I became the manager, the main person in the hub of our sales, it's like I wanted to do the meeting because I could inspire my team beyond just sales. It was like about life. It was about like, come on, don't sell a car just because you want to sell a car. Think about the kids you're going to help. Think about your children that are like Christmas around the corner. Think about the customer you're helping. Like I would give them every different perspective possible. And little did I know, those years that I was doing every meeting every Monday, God was grooming me to speak, because I was speaking every single Monday, getting my reps in. And I think so many people, it doesn't matter if you're in sales or not, you don't give yourself enough credit for what you've done. And like you're a badass Green Beret. When you started business, you didn't start at level 0. You started like at level 10 because you already had the discipline from being a Green Beret. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And so many people, they don't give themselves the credit, so they crumble under pressure, and then they wonder why my business isn't working. And then I think that the next thing too is too many people in this market are too selfish.
Mm-hmm.
They want instant gratification, and they do good leading themselves because they're selfish. But then when it comes to putting others before them, they say it, But it's a difference from saying and from doing, right? And you'll never reproduce something that you're not.
I got a bit of I don't even know if it's a hypothetical, but I got a rabbit I want to chase. I'll put it that way. So talking about sales and your background there, Daniel, and that skill set and, being coachable and those kind of things and how that helps you to be a better leader, manager and all that, gets me thinking to this conversation I've had with a bunch of my buddies, looking at our kids. And it's like, okay, hey, if you were going to build, like, let's say, like the best rugby player, what sports do you want to play? It's like, you don't want to just play in rugby. It's like, what do you want to do as the winter sports? Like, okay, wrestling is great because it works on body control, these different things. And so there's a fun hypothetical there, folks. If you haven't done it, it's an interesting conversation if you're into sports of what are those best elements that translate into other sports. I want to shift that conversation for leadership because as you were talking there, Daniel, I think that sales is one of those sports that if you're going to be a multi-sport athlete, to get that top level of leadership, I think sales is a great example of it. I think management clearly has a lot of skills there. I would love to kind of explore this a bit. Dan, I want to throw it over to you first. What if you just to give it a third one there? What would your third pillar of that be? And then we'll throw it over to Daniel to keep going.
Third pillar between sales.
To build up the perfect leader. So if you were building the perfect leader, so you had to do, break it up like you would do a sport, right? So your sales in spring, your fall, your management, what's your summer sport, what's your winter sport type of thing?
Yeah, I think, as much as I've said, you don't have to know how to do it to lead it, but you have to know how it's done. So whatever it is, car dealership, you better be on the floor a couple of times and seeing how the sales, whether you're the
turning the
one
wrench, whatever it is.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Back in the shop, if you own a, or if that's part of the dealership, like Daniel, when you were running the dealership, you had a repair shop in there and you had to know what those guys went through. I think that's the other piece of that, the third leg of that triad.
Yeah, Daniel, what would you add to that? I'm curious. Or what do you think also of that idea of how do you build the perfect leader with that setup?
Well, so I think people kind of use this. I've heard it before, right? You have it's what comes first, skill set or mindset. It's mindset. Mm-hmm. But I think even before, right, you got your mindset and the skill set. But I think before even mindset, you need the spiritual, right? Mm-hmm. You need the God factor. Then the mindset, then the skill set, and that becomes your tool set, right? You're never going to have a complete tool set without God in there because I coach many multimillionaires. And guess what? They have the right mindset, they have the right skill set, but they're missing the spiritual aspect of God in their tool set, and they're not happy. So for me, it's spiritual, mindset, skill set, and that completes your tool set to be anything you need to be.
So how did you jump from, running a dealership to, which is not a bad gig, right? I mean, you worked your way up and probably saw that other chair, right? You saw that other desk and you're like, I want to go there. Now you're there. Did you do the Forrest Gump thing there too? You kind of go, wait a second here.
Well, the truth is this. Sometimes I think God says. I think of Garth Brooks' song. Some of the best prayers are unanswered, and one of the biggest things that was a big goal that really hurt me was to pay off our house. And we did so well in the automotive industry that I paid off my house like in 7 years. Like boom, paid it off. And then I lost my motivation because I had a big goal, had the Corvette, had the Camaro, we didn't lack for nothing. The house was paid off. And then it's just like, I stopped caring for a while there, to be honest with you, as a leader, as a human being. My attitude was like, fuck them, forgive me. Right. But that was kind of like, it was there. And I was young. I had just turned like 40 something. And it wasn't good. The thing is, my company at the time had the same attitude. So it was just like I got stuck probably for about 2 years. And when I realized that, and then the business was still growing, right? The dealership was still growing. And then now they were paying me more than ever, but I wasn't caring though. And when that happened, God had to throw me out of the eagle's nest, right? The baby eaglets are thrown out because they don't want to fly. Why I stopped flying. Then I became bitter. And when I said, like, you're paying me this money because that was a pay plan. Now you want to cut my pay plan? Like, no, like, we're making more money because it's the same percentage. It's just a bigger piece of the pie. You follow me? And so there was a lot of resentment that built in, and I didn't realize how unhappy I was. So when I left, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to show these guys, right? Being a bad leader, I took some people with me, not because, yes, I wanted the people, but more to show them, like, right? They're following me, not you. And you learn through this, right? That it wasn't the right thing to do. So when my wife, at that time, when all this transition was happening in 2017, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. I knew it was God bringing me back closer to Him, Otis. I just knew it, Cam. Like, it's things weren't. We were great financially, but like, God put me in a place, like, I wasn't listening. At that point, after 2 years, I wasn't listening. I was in Daniel's world, and God says, the check engine light has been on in your life for a while, son, but you're not listening, dude. Like, you don't care. And God brought me to a place, right? He'll bring a leader because He loves them. He'll bring a leader to a place where his title, his bank account, his prominence can't save him. And God brought me to that place, and I knew it. I knew when my wife was diagnosed, I knew that it was God. And this is the thing. This is the problem, though, for me is, we've all been to the ocean, right? We've all been to the beach. And we hear our moms and our dads say, well, don't get Cam, stay close to the shore because I don't want you to drift. Oh, Dad, I got it. And then the next thing you know, Cam's on the tube and, oh shit, he's miles away because the drift it just takes you. Well, I didn't realize how far the drift took me away from God without me realizing it. And I was farther gone than what I thought. And when my wife was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer, I had to make a decision as a grown man. I think many leaders don't man up, right? Women too, but as a man, you need to man up. And was I going to hire somebody to take care of my wife, or was I going to do it myself? And I walked away from my position, making $250,000 a year to take care of her with the intentions of going back. I never went back.
Talking about the idea of like the check engine light brings to mind something. It's a similar problem in our work with the leadership development space of a lot of businesses kind of wait till they completely wait till the wheels are falling off before they even think about working on their leadership, working on their systems, those kind of things. There, I'd love to hear your thoughts, Daniel, on how, and just using your example there personally, how you now kind of pay attention to that more, be more proactive with it. Because I think that's such a hard thing. You gotta, you stop taking the vitamins and then the pain comes back. It's hard to stay on top of the things all of the time like that. What's your approach there?
Well, I think the problem is that there's a lot of leaders out there that strategies work so long and they become used to the strategy instead of the principle, right? Business principles will never change. Principles were never going to change, right? You reap what you sow. So I believe in my business, for every dollar I make, I give a dime to God, I give a dime to Daniel, and I give a dime to my savings account. That's just the way I live, right? For every dollar, first dime goes to God. Second dime goes to paying myself, and then the third dime goes to savings. And the principle is never going to change. That's why no matter what I do, I'm successful, because that's the principle. But the way I do it, I did it in the automotive business for many years. I'm doing it in my business now, 7 years. We just completed 7 years because the principle works. But there was a time in sales where everybody had newspaper ads, and all of a sudden, the San Antonio Light went out. San Antonio Light got bought out by the Express News. Next thing you know, there's no more newspaper because digital took over. So we had to change our strategy. Next thing you know, Facebook came about, and I'm like, well, I'm paying $50,000 here for a newspaper ad. Like, see, I value social media because I remember what we had to pay for one Saturday ad on the newspaper back in the day. It was $50,000, not 15, 50,000. So I value social media more than a lot of these younger people because I understand the value of what we used to pay every single Saturday. They would come, knock on the door, Cox Media, this is your ad, pay me my money. $50,000 a week end ad. Think about that. So we went from newspaper to internet to social media, right? We still sold cars. Now in my business, I've had to evolve because now, right? Like the principle stayed the same. You reap what you sow. First 10% goes to God, even before taxes. But because of I'm doing the right thing in the principle, then the new strategy comes. And many people, God gives them the new strategy, but they ignore it in their business because A, they don't understand it, and B, they're scared of failure. So they try to run the same old, right? The same old river brook. And God said, Elijah, you're not listening. I got to dry up the brook because you're being hard headed because the raven's not going to feed you no more. But so many people, well, where's the raven? And they're still waiting 20 years later. And then, right? Who is the biggest person that the brook dried up and they were still waiting for the raven? Blockbuster. Blockbuster thought that VCR and CDs were the thing, and they made fun of Netflix. Who's another big river that dried up that happened to, right? Another big leadership dummy. Kodak. Kodak thought they earned them, right? Now Kodak lost to the iPhone. Yep. So you have to be open-minded as a leader of, okay, where is my industry evolving? What do I need to adapt? And I think for me, when I started Cam, I was just a straight up motivational speaker, right? This is my goal, right? I'm going to be the number one motivational speaker in the world. That is who I'm going to be. That's my goal. On the journey, God said, you're going to start book publishing. I don't know how to publish books, but I was coaching people on books and I was assisting my old publisher, but I never really saw that for myself. And God says, Daniel, published a darn book. Will you stop it already? And now I love it because I help people come up with the right concepts. The concept becomes their book. The book becomes their coaching program, what they train on. And then that's what they speak on. So, but I had to be open-minded to the new strategies, to the new products and services. And I think so many people, they ride a certain product or service until it dries out. And then they never really invest in anything new. So once that product dries out of the market or is unneeded, they go under because they don't have that next big hurrah that they need in products or services, and they go back in the red and they can't make it.
Yeah, this is great, and I love where we're going with this because I actually had a call with a client this morning. We were talking about sunk cost fallacy, and I think that's such an important piece. And Cam and I've talked about it on the show several times. What I'd love for you to share, Daniel, is your technique to that open-mindedness, because we can get tied into that. Well, I'm a speaker. Yeah. Publish a book, yeah. That's a great idea. Thank you very much, Camden, for that idea. But I'm a speaker because that's what people tell you to do also, right? Is stay in your lane, focus on your lane, grow in your lane. How are you maintaining that? I guess I'll coin it as self-awareness.
So I'll give your audience a simple exercise they can do. Just map it out. Like map out. Go. Like people hear this word brainstorm and they don't do it because they think it's silly or it's dumb or I did it in high school and it's a bad memory, right? Bad association. Start in the middle. Just draw a little circle. For me, it was speaking. And then maybe now you got to do is just put 4 legs out of there, right? You draw a circle, 4 legs. And okay, what else is in that same vertical that maybe I can do or is in alignment with what I do? So the way I describe it now is, right, my trunk is my speaking business. I'm a speaker, right? And From the speaking trunk, we have a branch called Book Publishing, DGE Publishing. We have a branch called Sticker Shock Speaking Academy. We have a branch called The Makings of a Millionaire Mind Bootcamp. We have a branch called Revenue from Our Books. And then we have our branch called Shield of Faith Business Coaching. But all is in the same vertical. And I think that people make the mistakes because instead of staying in the same vertical in alignment with what they're doing, they go from speaking to wanting to do multi-level marketing, or they go from speaking wanting to do lawn service, and you can't do that, right? Because I think one of the biggest lies, and not that it's a lie in a bad way, but I think the way it's presented, because I believe a lot of people just say a lot of things because people say things on social media, right? Everybody says it, so I want to sound cool and I'm going to say it. Right? You need multiple streams of income, and I say that, right? But I understand now that you can't have multiple streams of income in different industries until you build one income that's going to be able to sustain you, and then you build from there. And the problem is, as a human being, we only have so much focus that if you focus down your watering, right, for one service, something else is going to suffer, right? I have 20 ounces here. We'll just say, right, I got one sign here, one business here, and here's my third business, right? We got 3 plants. Each plant takes 10 ounces. I only got 20 ounces. What's going to happen? Sooner or later, they're all going to die because they're being underwatered. Or if I'm wise enough, I'll just water 2 and I'll let one die by default and just stop it. But most people don't see that, and because they want to sound cool and say, well, I have multiple streams of income, and it doesn't work that way.
It's a funny example of the trolley problem type of thing. Of it's like, hey, well, I'm trying to save all 3, so it's not my fault that they all died. And it's like, no, but that's poor strategy. I think that's a great way of putting it. What I was going to add is I think that's such a great way of looking at business, of recognizing how those different pieces are interconnected. And then also that gives you, one, your growth and where you can continue to grow, but also gives you your different entry points. If you're trying to get into something and it's not going well, then you can recalculate. I know with me, with Opportunities, we talked about this some, that was a big piece for me, was, okay, hey, the farm stuff wasn't working right, let's get into the food waste. Food waste isn't working, let's get into this. There's the grow systems, there's this, and they all feed right into each other. So it's a different entry point is the way I always looked at it. And I think I agree. I think that's a great way of looking at it. One thing that comes to mind, Daniel, I'm curious, what would you say is the skill that most people miss when it comes to sales? If there was one skill that you think, all the books, it's like, gosh, why is no one talking about this one thing? What do you think it is?
They don't listen. They don't listen. People listen to react. People listen, right? You want to be technical and say, oh, I listen to respond. Well, no, you're still listening to react. Same thing, right? You need to listen. Write this down, ladies and gentlemen. You need to listen to learn to understand the customer's needs and wants. And when you listen to learn and understand the customer's needs and wants, they're going to tell you what it takes to sell them. Mm-hmm. And if you don't want to use the word sell, they're going to tell you what it takes to help them. Replace the word sells with help. Mm-hmm. And so many people, I think we've all had a friend or an associate along the way, or somebody that we know that they can talk themselves out of a sales opportunity because they just keep talking and talking. And if you would have just shut up 10 minutes ago, they're like, oh, this is I would have bought 10 minutes ago. Will you just be quiet already and just give me what, right? And I've even told somebody that, you know what, man, just shut up already. I want it. I came because this is what I'm looking for. This is what I need. But imagine if somebody is just kind of thinking about it and you talk yourself out of the sale because you're not listening. You're too busy talking. And I think I've seen both aspects, right? They talk themselves out of a sale. Why? Because they're not listening to the customer. Mm-hmm. And if you learn how to listen at a deeper level to understand their needs and wants, then they're going to tell you everything you need to know to help them and sell them.
Talking about deeper level, do you think there's kind of a philosophical, you have to let go of the sale in order to do that type of thing? The idea of you pray for somebody, you want something to happen, and you're pushing for it so much it's never going to happen type. You have to let go, let the world decide, let the universe, let God, whatever you want to call it. bring it to you, there's like this philosophical aspect of you do have to let go. If you're still holding on to it, it's not going to come. Do you think there's something like that happens with people in sales where it's like, I'm still holding on to the sales so much that I never really start listening? Is that kind of what you're getting at?
No, I don't believe in that philosophy. I think you got to be intentional. I think people don't sell because they don't have a sales mindset, right? I think you have to have the same way you have a corporate mindset and you have a 9 to 5 mindset, and you come into business, you're not going to succeed because you're thinking as a corporate employee, you're thinking as a 9 to 5er. You need to develop a business mindset, and I think too many people, they don't have a sales mindset. If you don't think you're going to sell anything, you're not going to sell anything. We don't expect to sell anything. So I'm intentional every morning I wake up, right? I tell myself this, right? And this is a good affirmation to say, I'm generating new revenue today. I'm generating new revenue every day. Like, you got to generate revenue. If not, you ain't going to get the mole coming to you because your wife's going to be like, hey, you ain't eating tonight, buddy. You got to go out there, Cam, and get some. We need some more revenue because, right, we're short on the mortgage. But people don't see that, right? And the way a person runs their home is an inclination of how they run their business. If their bills are always late, if they're a 500 credit score, if their credit score is low, why? Because you're paying your bills at home late. More likely, you're going to pay your bills at work late. And I think what really has helped me to be successful in business from the get-go is my vendors, my employees. I pay them, right? Like I get an invoice within 48 hours. I pay most of them, right? If it's a bigger one, I might wait a week or so, but if I have a 30-day net or a 60-day net, I'm not going to wait 30 or 60 days. Why would I do that? That's dishonoring who's trying to help you. That's why people, like, whether they like me or not, they respect me because I pay my bills. Does that make sense? Right? And then I'm like, you know what? Here's $100, man. Go do this. Like, whatever. But it's like when people, like, I can call many of our vendors, I can call people that supply us right now, and they'll put me in front of other people, not because I'm this badass, mean guy. No, because I care about them. Because I know, you know why? Because I remember back in 2017 when $500 was a lot of money to Daniel in the business. And man, if somebody would have paid me my $500 invoice or $1,000, man, it would have been a big stress reliever at that time. I don't forget those things.
Yeah, I love that. And Dan, I was just going to say on that, the idea of it's like not being indifferent to the sale, I think is such a key piece there, because it's not that you're there's a difference between not being indifferent versus not being pushy and over salesy and like, I need this. It's like, no, I want it. Like you said earlier, I want the sale. That would be good for me. I'm not indifferent to the idea of selling you, but I'm not going to be pushy. I'm not going to have commission breath because I need the sale. I think that's a lovely nuance there. Go ahead, Dan. I know you had a question.
Did you have a thought on that, Daniel? Because that's an important thing to understand also.
Yeah, like yesterday, I was talking to this one lady, and I just said, I think the old Daniel would have been like, because I can be persuasive, right? I can be persuasive and convincing, and I just listened to her, and I just said, you know what, we can meet next week. And I've learned if resistance comes up, right? I look at what's presented, and I'm like, you know what, am I trying to force this? And I'm like, and I said, okay, we'll just talk next Monday. And because I did that, right, this other person called me and we had a $3,000 sale. So it's just like, it's learning when to push and learning when not to push. Because some people do need, the thing is this, that people live in so much fear that as a business owner, you have to put some nudging on these people, right? I'm not saying pressure, but you do have to nudge them, because if not, they'll never make a decision, right? They'll never make a decision. And and they'll say, well, I want to think about it. Or when then somebody says, email me something. Okay, well, Cam, what is it that I haven't answered for you here that you want me to email you? Because I've kind of gone over everything. Well, I don't know. And I think just people don't know how to close, right? People just don't know how to close, and they wonder why their sales are down. Like, you got to know how to close. And I think, right, at my most arrogant moment in my life, Cam, true story, my Corvette had closer on it, right? Like it had closer because it had a K, because I was a killer, right? I'm a closing machine. And that's what that's a like, people need to understand, like on the last page of the book, that's when I have an affirmation page, and that's one of the affirmations is, is right. I am right. Affirmations. I am a closing machine. You have to see yourself as a closing machine, because how many people do you know, Cam and Otis, that have gone through the whole process? Like, think about this, right? And this is true. I see a lot of New York Life agents, and maybe I shouldn't say New York Life, but a lot of financial planners. They stalk you on LinkedIn. They stalk you on Facebook just to say, "Can I have a cup of coffee with you?" Then you have a cup of coffee with them, Otis, and then they Cam finally agrees. You know what? I'll give you 30 minutes, and then next thing you know, like, they go through the whole pitch, and then they ask this dumb question, and it is a dumb question. What do you think?
Yeah.
And then they're at a closing percentage of 5 or 10%, because you automatically give a customer the out by saying, "What do you think?" Well, I want to think about it. That's what I think, right? Because that it's ingrained in us to think that way. But think about that. You stalked me on LinkedIn for 3 months. I finally responded to one of your text messages because I'm tired of you emailing me. Then I agreed to coffee, a 3 month process, and you kill your own opportunity by saying, "What do you think?"
You know, I want to run this by you. Something I thought of as we were talking, because the sales, the sales, successful salesperson formula is willingness to help and an understanding of your worth. What else is in there?
Say that again. Success. Tell me that.
So a successful salesman or closer, we'll just loop closing in there, but a willingness to help and an understanding of your worth. What else is missing?
Easy. Your belief in what you're offering. So many people don't have the belief, right? Like I believe in sticker shock because I know, right? I don't train, I don't coach, I don't lead from theory. I lead, I coach, I speak from my experiences, and nobody can take away your experiences, right? Nobody can tell Otis that, right? I'm a Green Beret. I'm a badass Green Beret because I'm a badass Green Beret. Because how many people dropped out of Green Beret training? Thousands, hundreds of thousands, right? Since its inception. But because you've experienced it, you can say that, and you're not being arrogant, but you believe. You know what? I believe I'm one of the. I'm one of the best. Even though you're a servant leader, I get that. But the truth is, many men didn't man up, or many women didn't man up to make it past the Green Beret. They didn't get the stamp of approval. Say what you want to say. They didn't get the stamp of approval to become a Green Beret. And I think, right, just that you believe in you because you made that past stamp of approval for Green Beret. I believe in sticker shock because I've seen lives change when I speak. I've seen businesses grow when you speak one to many instead of one to one. I've seen one of our students come and leave, and they make $20,000 within 2 weeks because of the training we gave them. I believe, and the problem is most people that are not confident or have the belief in themselves. It's right. Cam's not wondering, right? We're wondering, does Cam believe what I'm saying? And Cam's saying, does Daniel believe in what he's saying? Right? I'm wondering if Cam's believing what I'm saying, but right, does he believe in the product? And Cam's saying, well, does Daniel believe in the product and service he says? And if you're not portraying that belief in what you're offering, like, they can sense it. You know, if you, I believe that books help people. I believe that, one thing that I didn't see is when I did my first book, You Were Born to Fly, and I paid somebody to publish my book, my very first one. Like, it changed the way my kids looked at me. Like, wow, like, Dad's really doing this. And then when I did my second book, Sticker Shock, they're like, it raises the level of your legacy. It changes your lineage. Because now, like, even though your kids may not really support you because your God-given dream is for you, now, because you've raised the bar, you've automatically raised the bar for your children, and they don't even realize it. And I think that that's what everything that we offer here at DGE, I believe in it. Like, I believe in Sticker Shock. I believe in our Millennium Mind Bootcamp. I believe in our book publishing because people need these. Whether you want to speak, or you just want to grow your business, or you just want to do a book for whatever reason you want. People write books for different reasons. But the bottom line is everything we offer, I truly believe in my heart, it can help an individual, it can help a person, and we're able to glorify God through our products and our services.
Man, I love it. I love it. And that was the key piece for me in what I learned and how important. And I don't think anybody doubts that you believe what you're doing, Daniel. And I think that is such an important piece. And if you're trying to sell something you don't believe in, human nature will sniff it out. And, you know what, if you got a program that you don't believe in, folks, we'll change your program. That's simple. Camden, how about you? What'd you learn?
Yeah, for me, I think it was that interesting little thought experiment of how do you build the perfect leader, like we were talking about, the perfect rugby player, whatever that is. And the idea of you need the sales, you need the leadership and management, you need the spiritual side of things, and then you need to be turning the wrench also. And I think that is, if you want to build the perfect leader, I can see how those four come in. But I did have a quick question for you, Dad, because talking about Green Berets there, I want to check my memory. You know, we talk about curiosity on the show, right? The Green Beret, Ballad of the Green Beret. It's 100 mental tests today, only 3 win a Green Beret, right? So is 3% the success rate at training for Q course, or how's that go?
Yeah, that's probably is pretty darn close to that. I don't know what it actually is, but yeah, it's you know,
I would say it's less, right? Because you're talking about 100 tests, but how many don't even qualify for the test?
Yeah,
I was going to say it's Q course for a reason. Also,
does that make sense?
It's not even.
Yeah, I mean, there's several gates that you have to get through to just get to that course, that 6-month course. So, yeah, it may even be a lower percentage than 3. When you talk about,
I would say it's a lot lower, because just to be able to take the test, like, you got to qualify to take the test, guys. There's thousands that don't qualify.
Yeah,
I would think. I don't. You know more than that. I've never been in the Army, but that's just kind of what comes to mind, right? Because there's a gatekeeper before the test.
Oh yeah. There's a couple of gates before that test. So, Daniel, how about you, man? What'd you learn?
I just learned that there's people out there that really love and care about people like you and Otis, Cam and Otis, that y'all just deliver value to it, and just y'all's hearts to help people out. You know, there's a lot of podcasts out there that are not really delivering value at the level y'all are. So it's just good to have a good conversation and talk with great people that are in business and have that business mindset. So that was my takeaway. Just hanging out with y'all guys.
Yeah. Daniel, how do folks find you, follow you, sign up, get your book, all those?
Well, let me go outside. I'll be back now. I'm just playing.
Yeah.
So actually, they can text the word millionaire. No, right? Text the word millionaire. No, just small letters to 210-942-5059. That's 210-942-5059. I'm going to give them a free gift, a complimentary PDF of the Millionaire Mindset, to really help them up level their business and their life. And then what I want to do for your audience is I'm going to give them a complimentary 30-minute discovery session. Send me an email directly at daniel@danielgomezspeaker.com. And I'm going to give your audience here of 10X a complimentary 30-minute discovery session. My free gift. It's worth $1,000, but I want to pour into your audience. That's daniel@danielgomezspeaker.com, and just put in Otis and Cam, and that'll be on the subject line, and you'll get your complimentary session.
Awesome. Folks, if you're running around looking for a pen right now, it's in the show notes. So check out the show notes, because if you're like me, you'd be like, crap, what was that? So say it one more time for those people like me, Daniel.
Put in on the subject line Otis and Cam, and you're going to get a complimentary discovery session, and you'll send that email to daniel@danielgomezspeaker.com, daniel@danielgomezspeaker.com, and you'll get your free complimentary gift. And then follow me on social media. Our brand is Daniel Gomez Inspires, and we can follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, and we want to hear from you, because we love people. It's all about the people, man.
Awesome. Yes, it is all about the people. And I just want to say thank you so much for spending some time with us today. This was amazing.
Well, I really enjoyed it. And I'm going to think of Cam now. I want some mole.
That's right.
I think I don't know if it's a business idea or what, but I at least got to get this guy's number, send you some. All right, we'll figure it out.
You get that mystery mason jar of black liquid one day in the mail.
Ooh, that's the real black gold out there. Talking about oil, you talk about fertilizer. Come on, no, that's the black gold. More like
no doubt. Camden, run us out.
All right. Thank y'all for listening to today's episode of 10X Your Team with Cam and Otis. And a special thanks to our guest, Daniel Gomez, for joining us today. Remember, you can watch full episodes of the show on YouTube at 10X Your Team. If you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to pass along to other lifelong learners in your tribe so that they can enjoy it too. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. As always, that full archive of episodes is available at www.10xyourteam.net. Thanks again, and we'll see y'all next time.